Hello and welcome to Different Perspectives. I'm Paul Ndiho. In a tense meeting at the White House, US President Donald Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa over key issues such as land reform and farm safety. Amid escalating trade tensions with a 30% tariff on South African exports looming, President Cyril Ramaphosa sought to balance concerns about reforms while promoting trade and diplomacy. To lighten up the mood, he presented President Trump with a large book showcasing South Africa's golf courses, hoping to connect over their shared love of the sport. However, the discussion extended beyond golf and land. It represented a clash of competing narratives between the two nations. For deeper insights on US-South Africa relations, I spoke with Professor Rick Mukonza, a political analyst and professor at Tshwane University of Technology in South Africa. Welcome to Different Perspectives.
Thank you, Paul. I hope you are good too.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's been a while since we last had a chat.
Indeed, it has been a while, but it's a pleasure being here, and I hope your viewers are good.
You have been following the latest developments. President Cyril Ramaphosa meeting the US President Donald Trump. Your thoughts, give us your take on what transpired and how you think this relationship can be repaired.
Thank you very much, Paul. I think we must admit that the relationship between the new administration in the United States of America and the South African government has been frosty in the past few months. We have been following in the media, statements by American government officials that suggested that they were not happy with Pretoria. They even alleged that there was genocide being committed in South Africa. There were a lot of public statements that were very undiplomatic that were exchanged in the media. And I must highlight, because the background is very important, Paul. I must highlight that the lowest point of the diplomatic relationship between South Africa and America was when the former ambassador of South Africa to America was ejected from the United States of America. That was Mr. Rasso. That tells you of how bad the relationship was. So for me, the visit by the South African president to America was a good, sign of an opportunity to, as they are calling it, to reset the relationship between the two countries. Because as you would know, uh, America is the second biggest trading partner of South Africa. So it tells you of how important America is to South Africa. Equally, South Africa, there are Americans who have invested in South Africa. So it tells you also that South Africa is equally an important trade partner to America. But the evidence that we saw in the past few months tells us that relations were at an all-time low in the past months.
Does this meeting between the two leaders solve anything or bring some of that rhetoric to an end? Clearly, and since you're on the ground in South Africa, how are people reacting to these latest developments?
I think the meeting may not be all that is needed to solve all the problems between the two countries, but it goes a very long way in solving the problem, because it gives an opportunity at an official level for the governments to meet and clarify certain positions clarify, dispel certain falsehoods, and also engender goodwill between the two countries. So I'm thinking, whilst most still, we are still waiting to see how, particularly the American government, is going to behave going forward. But I think it's a good sign that we have the meeting of the two presidents in particular opens up an opportunity for continued engagement that may see some of the problems that we saw, being dealt with. In South Africa, what I've picked is that there are mixed reactions to what took place at the Oval. Um, there is a section of the South African society that seem to think that um, the president of South Africa handled the matters that were put before him in a mature way. He did not show emotions even when he was provoked. He stuck to facts, and yeah, he did what a statesman is expected to do. But equally, there is a section that thinks the president gave too much. He respected President Trump uh, way more than he deserves, um, especially where President Trump's accusations were based on untested evidence, uh, and also relying on videos of opposition political parties, and also printouts from some media houses and videos that had not clearly been analyzed to ascertain the origins. So there's a section that thinks President Ramaphosa could have been more tough, could have returned some of the you know fight that was brought to him by Trump. So there is that mixed reaction on the ground.
Criticism is valid, but from the US government's perspective, is there any merit to some of those accusations leveled against Pretoria?
I don't think there's any merit. Even the evidence presented tells me that I think the United States government was clutching on straws, because there is no credible evidence presented to support genocide. In fact, Paul, if there was any genocide committed in South Africa, we did not need to scrounge around to try and check whether it was there or not. There are enough news agencies, whether within South Africa or international, that could have picked that up. But the fact that the American government was relying on videos of rallies, of speeches made at rallies, and some printouts from certain you know scanty and unverified media houses, tells you that uh, as others are arguing, America just wanted to draw the attention of South Africa, and their issues may not necessarily be those that they were highlighting. They may have other issues that they want to settle with South Africa.
Do you think that this meeting between the two leaders could ease those tensions? Obviously, President Cyril Ramaphosa came here with an olive branch. He was not prepared to fight back, but at least he was open to dialogue. And he came along with some very, very important people from his country who, like himself, rebuffed some of those claims that have been circulating around.
I think yes, indeed. Going forward, my expectation is that America is not going to be as aggressive as it was. Um, I think we are going to see softening on various issues between the two countries. I don't think the issue of sanctions is going to, you know, America is going to go ahead. I also don't. I also think America is going to attend the G20 summit that's going to be held in South Africa, because that was one of the issues that President Ramaphosa emphasized on. So in my opinion, the meeting is going to see, improve the relations between the two countries. Yes, the relations may not get to their old order, but I think it's going to become better than we saw in the past few months.
You live in South Africa. Have you come across any evidence or anything that suggests that white farmers are being targeted in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, South Africa has a high rate of crime. That's a fact that cannot be hidden. But this crime is experienced by everyone, black or white. It's not targeted at anyone, including those white farmers, is alleged. So it is important that whilst we should acknowledge the problems that are there in South Africa, including the issue of crime, I think it's an exaggeration to say that this crime or these murders are targeted at white farmers. Yes, white farmers have also been victims, but they are not targeted. That's the point I think that must be made, that they are not targeted. It's a crime that is affecting everyone across across the social the socio-economic sector of South Africa.
For purposes of our international audience, there are people who really don't understand the nuances when it comes to South Africa. What is all this about? Is it about land? Is it about the white people feeling like they're being pushed out? Is it about other things? What is it all about?
I think it's a variety of issues, Paul. And I'm going to dissect the issue on two levels. The first level would be, why would the white South African allege that there is genocide being targeted at them? I think it's because of the Land Expropriation Act that has been passed, which they may feel they may be targeted in the near future, and their land may be repossessed. As yeah, I think there is that fear among white South Africans, especially given what happened to Zimbabwe across the border. So there may be that um, that feeling among them. But we must also try and find out, why was America so eager to offer refugee to this white population. I mean, we are told that about 49 refugees of white Afrikaners are in America. I think we must understand the issue between South Africa and America within the context of the geopolitical, fights that are there. You would know that America and South Africa occupy different positions on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And America tried to influence South Africa to support its position, but South Africa, was adamant that it would not take positions in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. That's number one. Number two, You'd recall that in the Middle East, America supports Israel, and South Africa took a position to support the Palestinians. South Africa took an
Israel to court.
so there are those two key issues that I think angered America.
There's always been this rhetoric online on social media talking about how some white farmers are endangered. When you listen to some of the rhetoric coming from the opposition parties, it's a serious thing. Should the world look elsewhere and ignore those concerns?
Not really, but I think those must not be exaggerated. That's my point. Uh, I said earlier on that South Africa is suffering from a problem of high crime rate, and if you listen to the reports by the police, the South African Police Service provides statistics about crime in South Africa, and everyone is subject to that crime. So uh, white South Africans need not to act as if they are being targeted, or need not to act like there's something that is happening to them that's not happening to other South Africans. Because the truth of the matter is that what they're complaining about is probably also happening to other people, other black people who may
Especially
not have
immigrants.
immigrants are also having the same problem. So they must not act like they are being targeted. I think for me that's my bone of contention. There is no targeting, and of course we must understand that South Africa has a particular history, and that history um, gives privilege to the white population in South Africa. I'm sure you've heard about what was called apartheid. The in English, if we to translate it can be translated to a separated development, which favored white South Africans. So one of the contentions that have been there, Paul, has been about distribution of resources in the country. And when we talk about distribution or redistribution of resources to ensure fairness and equity, obviously those that have, who are whites in the majority, may feel that they are being targeted. But this is a bigger national question and bigger national issue that South Africa has to confront at some point. And it is important that the white population understand that it has nothing to do with them being targeted, but rather it is all to do with South Africa trying to deal with a problem that may be a ticking time bomb if resources in general are not redistributed in an equitable manner.
Well, Rick Mkonza, thank you so much. I will leave it there.
You're welcome, Paul. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
We want your thoughts. Share your comments in the comments below. Tell us what you think about this meeting between US President Donald Trump and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to Paul Ndiho on X, Instagram, Threads, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and YouTube.